Hi everyone, this is Matt. Welcome back to Touchgrass Gardening. Today we're going to talk about how to choose the variety of fruit tree for your yard. So when you go to the nursery or you look online, there's often dozens or hundreds of varieties of different fruit trees to choose from in the variety, and it's very overwhelming. So today I'm going to talk you through my journey of how I picked my mango trees, my avocado trees, and my jujubes, and how I got to the varieties that I enjoy most. The reason I want to make this video is because it's very overwhelming to think about the varieties of fruit trees when you're selecting one. So for like mangoes or avocados, there's dozens or hundreds of varieties out there that when you look at the different trees, you just don't know which one to pick. And so when I first started out in my yard, I would just go to the nursery and pick whatever tree looked nice or whatever the best deal I could find was, and I would plant that tree in my yard. And that's how most people pick a fruit tree. But I think there's a lot better ways to go about it and to really ensure that you can get the varieties that either do best in your environment or taste the best to you. And that's what I want to talk about today. So method number one of choosing your fruit tree, the beginner method, which is the Google search, looking at forums and seeing what other people say. So you can always just look online and see what people think is the best tasting fruit variety of whatever you're looking for. So for instance, this mango tree is called Super Alfonso. When I was looking for a mango tree, emailed my nursery and said, what mango trees do you have? They gave me a list of them. And then I went online and searched for each of those and found forums that said this one tastes good or this one tastes bad. People would rank their mango varieties, and this Super Alfonso was one of the top ranked ones. That's why I went to the nursery and picked it. But I had never tasted it before I bought the tree. And buying a tree and putting it in your yard is a big commitment. You'd like to be able to taste it first. So it's not ideal to do that, although if you don't have another way to taste the mango, this is how most people pick their tree, if they do a little research at all.
6 months later.
First mango of the season. It's year 2022. It's September the 8th. This mango has been growing forever, and finally it fell down. So let's cut it. Alfonso. All right. Moment of truth. Wow, it glides on like a butter.
Really?
Yeah. Wow.
It was juicy.
Wow, so buttery.
It was easy to cut.
Very easy. It's actually very satisfying. All right, I'll honor you the first bite.
Okay.
Look at your face.
That's really good. You try it.
Okay, flip.
It's better than it's different and better than like a normal store-bought mango.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
A slightly different flavor and the texture's better.
Oh wow. Oh wow. It is, how do I describe it? It's so unique. Like, has this kind of sweet, like tropical scent. And it's also like the store-bought one. It's just like, has a lot of texture. Yeah. This one just have a lot of juice.
How much out of 10 for this one?
I want to give it 9.8 point out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I concur. This is a mango that I just recently planted, and the variety is Karen Michelle. Now, the way that we came about picking this mango is I didn't just go to the nursery and pick the best looking tree. What I did was think about the variety before I went to the nursery. And the way that I was able to think about the variety is we found a way to taste the fruit. And that's really the ideal way to pick a fruit tree before you plant it in your yard, because this is a multi-decade investment. And if you think about your trees that way, especially fruit trees, this is something that you need to do a little bit more work to figure out. And the work doesn't have to be difficult, it can be fun. And the way that we did that is we joined a local fruit grower organization that orders in dozens of varieties of mangoes each year and puts on an event where people can go taste those mangoes. And you'll find if you look into communities of growers in your area, there's a lot of things like this. Even in places like Phoenix, Arizona, where fruit doesn't grow abundantly. We order in fruits from Florida, and then like-minded people come together and try the fruits. And it's really great because you can have a list of, say, your top 5 mangoes that you enjoy with your family. So my wife and I went together, and then we could compare our list of our top 5 tasting mangoes that we tried that day. And Karen Michelle was number 1 for both of us. And so the next year, I went out and decided this is the mango tree I need to find. It wasn't at most of the local nurseries that I could find. I went online, there weren't any good options online, but then there was a new nursery that opened up, had a lot of variety of mango trees, and I went there and found they had a Karen Michelle, and I bought it right away. So it might take a little bit of extra effort to find the perfect tree for your yard, but once you have it, it's really exciting, and you can try the fruit that you know that you love. One of the things to remember with tasting fruit is that it's subjective. So a variety that I love, you might not like, and that's why it's so important to try the fruit yourself. So for example, with the mango tasting that we went to the other night, there was a variety that this guy told me he really liked. He said, point it over there, said, try that one. I went over there and I thought it was horrible. It was called Tommy Atkins. I didn't like it, my wife didn't like it, and I thought he was playing a trick on me because it tasted so bad. But then when I saw him later, he was back at that plate eating more of it. So I knew that he actually really liked it, and I didn't. So you really want to be able to try fruit before you put a tree in the ground because it's such a big commitment. The other thing I would say is, like apples in Phoenix are something everyone wants to grow, but there's only a few varieties that grow well and put on a lot of fruit. They're called Anna and Einsheimer. There's a couple other ones, but I always wanted an apple tree. I have a friend who has those trees, and I said, can I just try your fruit and see if I like it? And I tried it, and I didn't really like it. It was kind of grainy, mealy, not super sweet, like I normally like a Fuji apple, which is crisp and sweet. So I was like, I'm not gonna plant those trees, even though I like apples. And so that's how I determined whether or not I wanted an apple tree in my yard. So try the fruit in any way that you can, and it's subjective. So you might like those apples, you might like that mango, but I don't, and I know which ones I like because I tried them too. I have 6 varieties of jujubes in my yard, and I found that it's one of my favorite trees. But when I first started out, I only had 2, which were just Lee and Long varieties, which are the 2 most common varieties of jujubes. And I just bought those from Home Depot because I knew that I liked the taste of jujubes when I lived in China. So that's why I put the trees in my yard. But the next method that I want to talk about for trying fruit is going to farmers markets. So we were on a family vacation in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we just happened to come up to this farmer's market that had a stall with a woman selling jujubes. And she had 8 different varieties of jujubes, and I tried all of them and found that actually the 2 varieties that I had planted in my yard weren't the best tasting to me. They're fine, they're good, my daughter still loves them, but to me, I really like this variety called GA866. Of course, the name is horrible, but the taste is awesome. And so I went out and I looked online and found a place I could order that tree. So now this tree has been in the ground for about 1.5 years. It's got a ton of fruit on it. This will be ready this fall. And I still have my other trees, so I didn't cut them down. I still like them enough. And this is pollinated by the Lee and Long that are already here. So jujubes really do well with multiple varieties near them. And you can see now that I have 6 varieties, and I tried other varieties that I like too. I'm just talking about my favorite one here, but I really think that if you go to farmers markets and you look for local growers, you can find some really interesting things. And a lot of times it's the people that actually grew the fruit that are at the stall, and you can ask them questions about the varieties of fruit that are there, and they usually know, like this is this variety, this is GA866, or this is Karen Michelle mango. And if you try it in front of them, you can ask them questions about the tree as well, and then know that that's the fruit that you really like. And then the next year when it's planting season, you go out, look for that tree, and put it in your own yard. So one way that we found out which varieties of mulberries we really liked was to go to the nurseries that had them when they were in season. So end of April, beginning of May, that's when mulberries are ready. And there's a lot of nurseries that will just have a lot of mulberry trees planted in the ground so people can try them because they want to sell the trees. And there's a few in our area that has, a dozen different varieties in the ground. You can go there and try them. Our whole family got a chance to try each different variety. And we ended up with a Pakistan and a white mulberry. Those are the ones we really enjoyed the most. And if you ask nicely, you talk to the owner of the nursery when you go there, you can try the mulberries that they have. And it's a great experience. Now, a lot of other fruits, they may not want you to try, so you do want to talk to them first and ask. But something like mulberry that's so prolific and that will go bad pretty fast, and you can just eat it off the tree, that's one of the fruits you can try and figure out if you really like that variety. Now, the next consideration I want to discuss when thinking about which varieties of trees to plant in your yard is environmental. So for me, in Phoenix, Arizona, one of the hardest trees to grow is the avocado. Very few people are able to do it. Lots of people kill them, and they just go online and say, you can't grow this. But what I have found is that usually they're trying to grow a variety that just doesn't do well here. And if you do more research on varieties of avocados, there's a lot of variation in terms of cold hardiness, heat hardiness, can it take sun? Avocado is one of the type of fruit trees that really has a ton of variation. Whereas say like a mango, grafted mangoes are all pretty similar in terms of their heat and cold tolerance. But avocados, there's huge variation. And so for instance, this Aravaipa avocado that you see beside me is an actual native avocado to Arizona and was found in the Aravaipa Valley and was a seedling from 100 years ago that is now a huge tree and is one that is taken and grafted and built into and sold into trees like that you see today. And that's really one of the ways that you should think about trees that are marginal in your climate. So if there is a tree that you really want in your yard, but you think, hey, most people kill this tree, I should probably do some research on what is the hardiest version of this tree before I go out and buy something, because you're probably going to kill it otherwise. And so like this Aravaipa, I have a Fuerte next to me that's really done well, but I compare that to like a Haas avocado that I also planted, and it just did not grow. It started dying, and now in the summer it's just totally died off. And so there's huge variation with avocado. I haven't gotten fruit yet with these avocados, but in time they will, because I know that there's other gardeners in my area who have gotten Aravaipa and Fuerte to fruit. And that's really why I planted these varieties and why they've done well. But I've also learned lessons on that I can kill certain varieties of avocado that just do not grow in the area where I live. This has been our video on how to pick the right variety of fruit tree. I hope it was helpful to you, helped you think through your decisions on what variety of fruit tree you're going to buy in the future. If it was helpful to you, please hit that like button. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I'd really appreciate you joining my community and being a part of all the videos that we're going to make in the future. So thanks again. Oh, and comment below. That's one thing I really love reading. If you have any thoughts on today's video or ones you'd want to see in the future, please comment below, and I'll see you again next time.